Hi everyone, this is Kathy Gross-Kurth with Bookkeeping Clean and Simple here in Austell, Georgia, near Metro Atlanta. And today we are going to continue the discussion that I started last week on bank rules. We're going to create a couple of basic bank rules, and I want to show you the effects of turning on the auto add feature in the bank rule area. So as you can see, we're in our sample company, Craig's Design and Landscaping Services, and I am on the banking tab right now, because I want to show you that we are going to be working with these three transactions here, the A1 rental transactions here. And just so you'll know, I've already added that vendor into our list, so it's already in there. So what we're going to do now is switch over from the banking center to the rules area, because that's where we started out last week, and we're just going to stay in that same area. As you can see right now, we don't have any rules added. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And remember, we talked about if you want to learn more about bank rules, you can click on that link and that turns the help dialog box on, so you can read through all of that, which makes it pretty handy. But we're just going to go over here and create a new rule. I'll show you the drop down here to show you what you can do. You can import rules from other files if you want to do that, but we're just going to go ahead and create a new rule from here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button right here, and that's going to open up the create rule dialog box. So what we're going to do is we're going to base this on our A1 rental. And so we're going to call this A1 rental expenses. And then as you go through this, let me caution you as well that you want to, when you set the rules up, you want to cast a wide net initially. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to restrict the rule to the point where it's not going to work for you. You can always restrict the rule later if you need to, but if the rule works with the least amount of restriction on it, then you want to make sure that you create it accordingly. So we want to, first of all, as we go through this exercise here of setting this up, you're going to see that you can have a choice of applying this transactions to money in or money out. And in this instance, this is monies that we're paying out, their expenses. And so we're going to leave that as this is. And again, with the wide net consideration, we're going to go ahead and leave all these accounts checked. Again, you can always go back and edit these rules if you need to put more restriction on them. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and leave that all bank accounts selected here. And you can either include the following, all, or any. And again, you want to choose the least restrictive option to start with, which would be any. And then you can always add different conditions, but we're going to do something pretty simple. So the other thing that we did is I turned on the columns to show the bank details and all of that. So we're going to do this. We can either have description or bank text or amount. So since I've turned on bank text, I'm going to go ahead and click on bank text here. And then again, that wide net concept here, you either have contains, doesn't contain, and is exactly. So we're going to leave it on contains because that's the wide net, what we're talking about. So if we do A1 rental, that way it will include anything that includes that particular parameter. It should capture that when we're assigning the rules. So this is kind of an if-then type of scenario here. So we did the if part up here at the top, and so now we're going to do the then section here. So it's going to be a transaction type of an expense. You can either do transfers or check, but for what we're doing here, it's an expense. And then we're going to choose the category. So what we've determined for the A1 rental, this is going to be equipment rental. And we're going to go ahead and just use the main topic equipment rental for our purposes here. There's some stuff that needs to be cleaned up in the sample file that I didn't do beforehand. So we're just going to use equipment rental just for the purposes of our exercise. And then the payee, which, like I said, I went ahead and added this vendor to the list. We're going to assign the payee as A1 rental. So that way it includes that payee when the rule is created. Okay, so I'm not going to do anything yet with the auto add at this point, and I'm not going to even assign anything else, but I will do this. I'll go ahead and put a note in here. I like to do this: create or added by rule. So that way we'll know, and of course you're going to know anyway when you see how it works out when it's added. But we're not going to turn the auto add on yet. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because we don't want to auto add this right now, because I want you to see what it looks like when you do. So we have everything set up here, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. So we have our rule created. As you can see, it's going to apply it to all accounts. Bank text contains A1 rental, and then we're going to set the category to equipment rental and set payee to A1 rental. So when we go back over here to our banking tab, watch what happens. All right. So one thing you'll notice is that when we're back in the banking center, you'll see that the rule has applied to 2 of these transactions. Like I said, it's the 2 expense transactions that this has applied to. And we can add those from here, or we can go ahead and click on add and do it from there. I'm going to go ahead and do this with one of them because I want you to see what it looks like in the register when we do that. So we're going to go ahead and click on the $1,200, the add button here. We're just going to assume that we did not add this expense beforehand, so there's no need to match it. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and that's going to move that from the for review into our register now. So we're going to go to the register so you can see. Now, in the register, you'll see that that rule has been added. I've got the memo added by rule, but you can also see this little box right here that's showing you that this was manually added from the bank feed. So that's how you know that this has cleared the for review, but it's also been manually added from the bank feeds. And so that's how you know when you come into the register what you're looking at. So we're going to go back to our banking tab. I'm going to go ahead and click on banking from the left navigation. And the other thing I wanted to point out here is that when you create rules, you're going to have to create a separate rule for any monies received. And we'll hopefully have time to do this today. If not, I just want to make sure that I plainly state that if you have a refund coming in and you don't want to have to deal with that individually, then you have to create a separate rule for refunds. And I can show you how to do that in just a little bit. But as you can see, we have the category assigned, equipment rental. We have the payee assigned. So what I want to do is I want to flip back over to the rules area. Okay. So we're going to edit this rule right here to actually turn on the auto add. And what the auto add will do is it will skip everything in the for review, and it will have that rule do what it does and assign the categories and all of that, but it will skip the for review and go right into the register. So we're going to go ahead and save this, and then when I go back to the banking center, you will see that that transaction is no longer in there. If we go to the banking register, you'll see what happens with that. Okay, as you can see, remember the first one that we added manually, and then the second one has the plus sign, and what that does is it's showing you that it's automatically added from bank rule. Last time I cautioned you, be very careful when you're using the auto add feature. This works really brilliantly when you have a vendor where you purchase from one single category, as opposed to like a Home Depot where you're purchasing maybe job materials, or in addition to that, you're renting equipment or other things like that. So it works really brilliantly for an example such as if you're doing equipment rental strictly from this one place, then you can turn on the auto rule. And in most cases, another example would be the Postal Service. Pretty much anything that you're getting from the Postal Service, you can set that up as auto add because it's going to be pretty much postage. So that's another way. So anything like that, very simplistic rule you can do the auto adds that way, and it saves a lot of time when you do that. So with that said, I want to switch over again to the banking. I'm actually going to go right to the rules area. And what I want to do is I wanted to here, let me just go back to the banking center and I'll show you again. Remember, it didn't do anything to this A1 rental right here, and that's because that's a refund that's coming back from an equipment rental that we either didn't use or they gave us an allowance on or something like that. So let's go back to the rule center, and what I want to do is I want to actually copy this and edit it to take care of that $200. So we're going to go ahead and take this copy of out and do A1 rental refund. So this would be the opposite of money out. We want to do money in. Again, we're going to leave these parameters, that wide net concept. And then we're going to assign deposit, credit card, credit. The category is still going to be the same. The pay is still going to be the same. And I'm going to turn the auto add off here so that way you can see it in the bank register. So again, you want to try these out by manually adding them just before you turn on the auto add. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on save, and that way you can see the new rule that we have. It's not set to auto add, but it's basically the mirror image of the other one. So when we go back to the banking center, it should work where you can see that it applied that separate rule. And again, you have to apply the rule. You have to have two separate rules for money coming in and money going out, which is why we had to do that. So as you can see right here, it did apply the rule. It did apply the parameters that we set. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. And then we're going to go back and look at the register again so that way you can see. So as you can see, that second rule was applied to this deposit. You can see the $200 is in there. You can see that this, if you hover over that, it says manually added from bank feeds. And then again, that memo is that memo that I put in there at the very beginning. So hopefully that'll help you as you're working through your bank rules. Start with some very simple vendors with like maybe one type of category that you want to do. Try those before you start adding rules into the rules area, and that way you can kind of get a handle on it to see how it works, how the syntax works and all that. So hopefully this will help you today as you're working through all of this. Thank you for watching. I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel as well as share it with others. I am adding on average one video per week, including the occasional motivational video. I would love nothing more than to help you maximize your usage of QuickBooks Desktop and online. My email is below, as well as a number where you can text me for more information and to set up an initial consult. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.